Aloha and welcome to another Rainbow Wrap Up. And this week, we got back in the house the man with a master plan and with some lau leaves coming out of his head sometimes as well. The one and only Shane, brother Shane Agno. What's up, Shane?
What's up, Brother Wayne? Missed you guys last week, but yes, I'm back. Lala head in the house. Hopefully, he'll be literally in the house soon, but
yes.
We'll dive into that a little later.
Well, someone that definitely wants to be in the house as well, numbered amongst the chosen 1,000, the few, the chosen, the UH fans, if we have that many in the islands left. Sean Iman, what's up, Sean?
What's up, Wayne? What's up, Warrior Nation?
Sheesh. Well, I know that you are, sheesh. I mean, the sheesh, we just need a sheesh button already so I can just push the button.
Instead of the...
no, there needs to be like a sheesh segment or something. But no, there's going to be a lot of sheeshing today as we try to make sense of, and, first of all, we are happy because there will be fans actually this year. And to go this many years, literally over a year and a half, almost 2 years without even having fans in your home stadium is really unfathomable. Like, we'll look back on it and be like, can't believe we didn't have home fans for that long. But we're just gonna focus on the positives first, and we'll say yes, finally Governor Ige has given in. So Shane, what was your first takeaway, and what are your how do you feel now, since, because we didn't get to hear what you felt like for the last time with but now that's like, well, it's 1,000. What's going through your head now, basically?
Well, yeah, I'm taking it, man, even though I wish it was more, because we all talk about it every week. We see it on TV, full stadium in Virginia Tech, full stadium in Wisconsin, full stadium Notre Dame. And then, we can have fans, but 1,000, which, and I'm not a health expert. I'm not a politician. I'm not this or that. But so I know they have a lot on their plate, but at the same time, we're all doing our best to stay safe and to try to, follow the mandate, as what another fellow coach always says. I'm going to follow the mandate.
Is he still a coach? I guess that's the next question.
Yeah, as far as I know, he is. But yeah, I mean, I was so frustrated. I don't know if you guys saw my post about how I kept cutting down Ige, about how things don't make sense. So yeah, I'm grateful that we're going to have fans back in the stands, especially for the parents, like for players like Calvin Turner, who decided to come back, and we all thought, wow, why are you coming back? And finally people get to see him in person. He gets to hear people cheer his name or whatnot. So yeah, it's good, man. Finally, just hope I get to figure out a way to be a special ticket holder.
Yeah. Well, if you're a fan of Wahine soccer, apparently today you were amongst the first to be allowed into a public Rainbow Warrior / Wahine athletics contest, because at YPO Soccer Complex right today was the first. And a lot is changing too. As well as in the mainland, as in terms of the mandates. First of all, it's got a little bit more strict now in LA, so you need to show vaccine, or at least for the major events you can still do the test, but you still have to do that wasn't a thing until, like, once they removed in June the mandates and they had set that target, they haven't had the mandates. So that's now a new thing again, which is going to be something that is, something that, Governor Ige, other people say, like, see, well, that's why a lot of people have to roll back. But we were so far back, we were rolled back to the beginning of the pandemic, basically. So finally, some signs of life. But Sean, has he appeased you at least a little bit, given how I know frustrated it's been for you as well?
Is he off the hook? Like, not in my
I don't know if
opinion.
he's off the hook. Yeah, that would be going too far,
like,
probably.
he's the least popular governor in the nation from
Wow,
accounts,
that might be a stretch given the state of politicians in this, but for sure, in terms of going one-on-one with your state, there's never been in my lifetime probably a moment where I remember like this many, and you know, in a way that's might be a good thing too. Maybe people are becoming more politically aware, but you know, you look at somebody like BJ Penn, who has not only announced his running, but has made significant, I mean, has started stating very particular, you know, policy
no
changes
rules,
that he would like
guys.
to
No
enact.
rules.
You know, and this is not at all endorsement for BJ for governor, but at the same time, people are going to think, hey, how does this person think about football, hopefully, or sports? And I'm not saying that you should vote for a person that way or another, but if I were running for governor, I would make sports a part of my platform. People would be like, okay, that's really, what about poverty? Yes, I would make that a very direct part of that as well. Like, and that's the thing. Like, I feel like we have lost priority because football is a state program. It belongs to the state. It belongs to all of us. And we have to be the ones that are the stewards of it as well. Like we say, we are, as fans, we are stakeholders, but we cannot pull all the strings. We can only be there to hopefully keep people accountable, maybe via social media. And for some people that already shakes them in their boots if someone has an opinion about them on Twitter or in Facebook. So and this is Hawaii, so people need to just stop. But you know, that is a game of, that's how it works. You know, these are strange times and precarious times. So if you are state funded, I mean, we're talking about like barely filling whatever education needs or whatever teachers need in the classroom. So football is in that spot where you are being pitted against these other things that the state is paying for directly. You're a line item against these things. So, and when you think about it in that context, why even more so, why should football be given any passes by the governor? You know, because even as much as he was way too restrictive, like we said, he was barely fought back. People complaining on the news or people on Twitter ain't nothing. Like, there was nothing. What really, I think, changed the tide for him was the fact that the numbers went so drastically down, which is also a curious thing, from like 900. But I mean, we did change. That's what happens when you put the vaccine passports in place and stuff. You see the numbers are going to change. So the numbers have dropped a lot. So yeah, I believe that Ige is not let off the hook at all. As well. I agree with that. But at the same time, you know, we are making progress, and I think at this point, if it keeps going this way, 1,000 should only be the limit for the first game. I don't see how that could be kept in place. But can the school deliver 1,000 tickets and do it appropriately? What do you think they're going to do, Sean? They did release a thing in terms of priority.
Yeah, so I think they said like 500 for the family.
Mm-hmm.
I think they're giving 20 to New Mexico State.
20? Is that what the con was?
Yeah, 20.
20 whole tickets.
Which might be 18 too many for those guys. But
no, it might be. That's not even a far off stretch. But you know, like, what is your game plan? Put it that way, Sean, to get a ticket. What's your game plan?
To be honest, I don't see myself getting in this year. I honestly don't.
Well, what's your game plan for trying? What would you do? What?
Oh, like, yeah, I'm willing to, pay cash.
What are you willing to do to get into the game? Yeah. I mean, like, no one, you're not gonna just get a link, and that's the thing. Like, these kind of things, like, it's gonna be competitive for sure, but you shouldn't just rule yourself out. So I hope that all three of us.
Well, I mean, I think Blangiardi has stated that there's this 1,000 for this one, but I think he said he wanted no restrictions on the final two.
No, and I think that's fine, and I think that should be how it is.
And I'll believe it when I see it, based on our strict parent, Mr. Governor David Ige, he just says no, 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 no.
Yeah.
So I'll believe it when I see it.
Well, he sounded like more conciliatory, I guess, and he did previously. But he was getting a lot of heat, Shane? So I think
Rightfully so.
it also is going to be something that, I mean, do you think people should think about that when they think about governor? I mean, I'm not saying in the debates, not that the debates are that substantive anyways, but is UH football important? Like, to me, that's an important UH football. Is it if it's a symbol of the culture of Hawaii and its sports culture or its art in some form, because it is, we have so many great athletes that have come from Hawaii too, and that's tradition, yet we've let it kind of falter. I mean, we really neglected at least how to make a Division I program thrive, not just survive. It's just been like kicking around, and June Jones, came up with a formula at a very cheap price. And we took, we were able to cash in on a very, honestly, in the grand scheme of it, it's been a pretty minor success. At the time, it was like, wow, we've made it. But it's like, now it's 15 years removed. And it's like, are we ever going to sniff that ever again? So I don't know, Shane, what do you see? Like I said, we talk about this every time, though, like the state of the program. Where are we trending? We're finally getting it back into the stadium, but what does that even mean? Like, ultimately, I mean, are we going to have people pouring in, or people are going to be clamoring for tickets? I mean, what do you think is going to be happening?
Man, it's hard to say. Like, for us diehard fans,
Of course.
that have put so much importance and heartfelt, love for this program. I'm dying to get back in there, but for the casual fan and stuff like that, it might be like, we've read articles like too little, too late, where it's like, I've already didn't have 2 years. I never go games. So
Exactly.
why I gotta go back already? I'm just not even, I'm used to not even going. I'm used to watching it on TV already. So it's like, it could go both ways, but I know for Warrior Nation and fans like us, man, we're dying to get back in. Yeah. And I watched the news yesterday because Matt Lynn was on with Sam Spangler, so he was, giving a tour and showing how to get in.
Oh yeah, I think you posted that video. Yeah,
the gate. But I'm thinking, how much the tickets gonna be? You guys giving them? He makes it sound like we're giving these tickets for free, but he never. I don't even know the price of these tickets how are you gonna pay for these tickets? Like I don't. Yeah, there's still so many questions to be answered.
It could be free. I could see them. Yeah. I could see them doing it free for the first game, because they're like basically only the people that have already been either paying so much, or the families. Mm-hmm. Like, it's like they need to be paid back. So at this point, it's like I could see them making it free, and and that was kind of what they were going to do for the national championship for volleyball, right? When I went to Columbus, they weren't really selling tickets publicly. It was just like, but if you kind of showed up to Columbus, you would, I guess they started releasing tickets as they got closer, but it was more like a, it's who kind of thing to get in. So hopefully we know the right people. But Shane or Sean is meeting a lot of people. They're even looking for his expertise, apparently. Recently, and I'll just get you caught up. And there was recently, we had not Christopher Columbus Day, so that's the last time I want to mention that name on this show. So don't even think about that guy ever again. But he is not relevant, but the fact that Indigenous Peoples Day is relevant because it is a celebration of who we are as Indigenous people, as Kanaka Maoli in these islands, as Native peoples across this entire globe, who've contributed to society in ways that have never been revealed because of Western society, because of their academia that is so sanitized with everything that is, basically the erasure of Native peoples who have mostly been, have their lands occupied or have been thrown out or, have been taken away as slaves. That's what Indigenous Peoples Day is about. But you know, it was reduced to pictures of, I believe, Makua Bay, which I guess I'm hoping if it was Makua, at least we could maybe make some kind of inferences that we're talking about Kanaka Maoli or something. But anyways, very confusing for me as well. But I guess Sean did share the confusing nature that of the post as well. So I guess Sean, tell us exactly about what happened.
So Hawaii Athletics posted these two pictures of just like the mountains and the ocean, and then just put hashtag Indigenous Peoples Day. So I simply asked them, where are the people at? Where are these Indigenous people? And I just said, like so close. And then they replied that wanting to know how they could better celebrate in the future and wanted suggestions, and then DM'd me. And I gave them my suggestion.
Okay, that was nice of you.
Yeah. So I gave them my suggestion and they said they liked it. And they want to hear more from me because they need help.
Clearly. It must be rough being at an institution of Hawaiian learning, literally an institution that is that has codified in its mission to raise up upon the values of Hawaii indigenous people. Yeah, that's just so confusing as to how this was a miss. God.
Oh, it's not that hard if you think about it.
You could literally just copy other schools. That's what we're saying. Like copy and paste another different. Like look at San Jose. During Black Lives Matter. One thing about that, like I said, whether you agreed with Black Lives Matter or not, like know what's on trend, know what the rest of the world is doing. Because yes, Governor Ige was one of the few governors totally off trend. Guess what? The school is literally like that almost every single time the rest of the country is on something else. This is what I mean. We always lose focus. Black Lives Matter. Hawaiian time on everything. Hawaiian time.
I think it wandered in like about a month later, right?
Yeah.
They got on it about a month.
Oh, it took over a month for Black Lives Matter, and by this time, like, okay, people are like, really now? And then they were still dealing with their trolls. They were still having to deal with their trolls. So it was like, what was the point doing it now? And that's what I'm saying. Like they're so late. Like the Cole Brandon thing. This is why retiring his number, a freaking press release. Like it's not hard. Like it could have been done.
You had a show on Thursday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
And for We Will Listen.
Yeah.
The Black voices and uplift them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. I mean, you're right. Like it's just funny. Like we as fans, because like Shane said, we are the diehards. So we are thinking of ways constantly. That's just natural to us. That's just natural. We don't have to be paid. We don't have to be. That's what it means to be us, to be fans. And diehard.
So to wrap it up, I feel like I gave them a suggestion, and if they want more, they're gonna have to put me on the payroll.
Yeah, that's about right. Sounds about right. Yeah, and I think that I don't know if that was done in jest or like why they decided to or who it was. That's the thing when you can hide behind, like a Twitter handle that's probably shared amongst like a team of 8 or 10 people. I mean, you can always, and I'm just predicting, who knows? It could be one person who does all the social media handles, but I'm just saying, like, on behalf of an institution, I'm sure they're always nervous about what they share too. So, but the thing is, it makes the worst look worse.
My response was snarky, but like when they responded, I felt really sorry for them.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's how I feel right now too. Sorry. You're right.
Yeah. So I gave him a suggestion, and it's just like I was flattered, but it's also kind of pathetic.
Yeah,
you're soliciting ideas from Joe Schmo on Twitter, and then you think it's good. So it's kind of like when Von Oppen towards the end of his run, when people were calling in and suggesting plays, and he's like, "Wow, yeah, that sounds good." You don't want the football coach that takes suggestions from the fans. You know, like June Jones. June Jones wouldn't take suggestions because he got it. He knows what he's doing. So,
and, and it's not we're not saying definitely listen to the fans. There's a difference between listening to the fans and then asking them to help you do something. Like, that's different. It's like fire the coach. People say that, or some say, and then you're like, okay, whatever.
Understanding the culture.
Yeah.
It's understanding the culture and knowing what the message is.
Yes.
Knowing what the beat of the drum is. Knowing your core audience. Knowing the institution. Knowing this place. And if you have somebody that's running the account that's from Missouri or from Idaho or, wherever, they're not going to get that. And that's the problem.
Yeah. And we had a good chance too to celebrate student athletes who have Indigenous background, which, I don't know. We have so many we can name right now currently. But these are all misses that are happening by people who should be professionals, and that is why it is frustrating, and that's why for Governor Ige, not defending him because the state is backwards in a lot of ways, but it's reflected in the school and in athletics, and it has been for a long time.
Well, and that's what I said. I said, when you guys put this kind of stuff, it just makes you look silly.
Yeah, it does.
And that's the problem. And that, and it's hard to root for something that makes a joke out of itself. And just can't seem to get it right over and over again. It's hard to root for a place like that. And it's frustrating.
And the fans deserve better. And that's the thing. Like, as fans, as hardcore fans, we deserve better. Like, I'm tired of going to other schools. Like, I already said this, and having to see, and I saw in that piece that you talked about, the Sam Spangler piece, Shane, that you shared, that game environment and atmosphere were words that were very prominently used within the conversation that he had with Matlin, because he knows that those are words that people use all the time to describe why they do not go to games at the stadium. And now they do have a chance to turn that up. So this will be their chance. So we'll see how it goes. But that is all decades long buildup of frustration and angst by fans. This is not an overnight thing.
Or tearing down.
Scare. Yeah. I mean, this is not something that happened overnight, but still going forward, we need to obviously be cognizant of the fact that if we can't fill 15,000, then the stadium, which we'll talk about now, will never need to come to fruition anyways. But Shane, you saw some of the renderings of Kaka'ako via Halava housing, whatever they're trying to gentrify in that area. That is a mad gentrification job for sure. When you look at those, there's like Halava never saw this one coming. High school will never be the same after this place is built. But what are your thoughts? And we're talking about Crawford, which is the architects in charge of building this area, and they've built other things before as well, sports entertainment districts. And by districts, I mean now that stadiums are being built, and this is a very common pattern where local governments don't want to carry the burden of the cost of stadiums, so they start like subleasing land out. They still own the land, but they sublease it out to private developers who can use that land then to build these gentrified type commercial structures, and then find ways to monetize as well and develop capital so that they can build the stadium. And it looks like they're going to build a stadium still, but they've announced it won't be ready by 2023. So Shane.
Shocker. Sorry, I'm just laughing already.
And so tell us how this is gonna pan out, Shane.
Just as soon as I saw those renderings, those pictures, I just laughed because I was like, what the hell? So I was reading comments, and majority of the comments feel the same way. Like, we can't, and it always comes back to rail, right? We can't even build our rail, and you guys want to build this area that, and it, like somebody said, oh, you guys trying to make Halava look like Singapore? And I was looking, oh yeah, it looks exactly like Singapore. So yeah.
I'm not opposed to that. I'm not opposed to Oahu looking like Singapore. First of all, that's not a bad thing. Singapore, I don't want it to look like Shanghai. Singapore is at least conscious of the challenges of space and trying, but this place is not. I don't know how much of a dent it's going to put into our residential crisis. That's not like on the minds of a P3 developer. And Senator Wakai, this is his and out of his brainchild, and it's a great way of developing money. Like he's right. You can't rely on the state to cut checks when they're not. So you have to do this thing, but you're also like, you are the devil. You're bringing in these guys that are de facto acting like government leaders and being able to build what they feel like first. Like, no, we don't need to build a stadium, or we need to, raise capital because we had this pandemic and now we have to shift the timeline back. But we've kind of lost the power anyways of this stadium. And it's kind of maybe 12% of the entire district. I don't know, Sean. I mean, what do you feel about just the stadium via the renderings that they have?
Confusion. I feel confused. I see all these different plans and they haven't even picked who to go with, right?
Yeah.
And so you see these different renderings and it's like, and it looks nice. It looks great. But I think most people know that what those pictures look like and what we're going to end up with 10 years from now is going to be totally different. It's going to be some stripped down generic version of those pictures.
Yeah.
That's just how I feel.
If it were me and I would do this, if you had to use a P3 partnership, it's not a bad thing, especially if other companies can provide that infusion of fast capital to be able to pay for construction workers and everything else, materials. But I would just start with what we have in our current stadium, salvage what we can from our current stadium. And especially what it looks like, especially the big freaking hole that was already dug, because they're gonna move the location of the stadium, the actual 50-yard line and everything is going to shift. So there is going to be a lot of it's like when SoFi was being built. I mean, that took forever. I mean, SoFi's not even close to being done yet, the whole stadium district. But SoFi had to build the stadium first because that's the most important part of the SoFi Stadium. Is the stadium. Well, actually, the NFL offices were built before SoFi, but obviously those are way faster than building a stadium. But they're not done with the hotel that's supposed to be next door, and the condos are coming up and the commercial spaces because that's next. Right now, it's still like Inglewood and then SoFi in the middle. Now it's going to be, sorry, Inglewood, like you're going to be gentrified like until we can push out into Inglewood. And that's what, I feel like a lot of those Halava people are probably scared too. Like, that does not look like their neighborhood at all. Like those IAEA freaking Foster's Village. Who are the what's down there? Yeah. So that kind of social impact that this area will have is going to be much unlike what we've had growing up. It's going to be more than just traffic for games and 50th State Fair. They're going to have to deal with a whole new way of going out and socializing, which will have positive outcomes as well. Obviously, like we go to Ward, even though Ward has every time I think about like I'm sure as you guys as well, seeing Ward Warehouse gone or all the places that we loved, it's like this is a part of that changing of Oahu, but it's so clumsily done every time in Hawaii. We can never just make something nice and have it done on a timeline that is commensurate. Yeah, there's never. And it starts with the vision. That's what I'm saying. The abstract stuff is what bothers me. It's like, talk about what our principles are. What do we believe in? What do we love? What do we want to prioritize? We have not even, I asked my parents that question. They're like confused. Like, what? I get a house. I have marriage. I have this. Like, my parents checked off all the boxes and they're like, wait a minute, don't I win the prize? Like, no, you still have to win a life. Like, you still are going to make money, have to learn how to spend money. I kind of talked this about on my show last night about NFL tickets, like splurging and spending, just knowing the reality of it. Like these are our priorities. Like I'm not trying to recruit people off the street to buy my, $500 tickets. I'm trying to recruit NFL fans who I think should know better than paying a lot of money just to get a different experience. Right. But nonetheless, it all comes down to two priorities, and the NFL knows that they have a bunch of hardcore fans like us as well who spend, but that's because they keep feeding us different things and they keep changing the product, and that is the thing that we haven't seen really with Hawaii football, like we have with the NFL and the NBA and even Major League Baseball, this old white sport that we still were glued to tonight watching the Dodgers and the Giants. So I'm saying like everything has to evolve, but is UH football evolved? I don't know, because we're never going to go back to old Aloha Stadium, and that's where a lot of that ghost and those magic, that's where it is. So we've already left that, so this is a new era we're already entering to. What does it look like?
Governor Burns had a vision for the University of Hawaii and specifically for football. That's why he built Aloha Stadium. And our governor now is kind of running straight contrary to that by withholding fans and choking.
Yeah, but like I said, he had a vision.
Life.
He had a vision. Yeah. There's no comparison. To me, there's no comparison with Burns and Ige, because Ige is just like Cayetano, who's just like Lingle, who's just, like when it comes to UH football, were any of them huge UH supporters? Like, I'm not saying they wouldn't let people in. They probably would let people in, but we've let the program really in the minds of people in Hawaii become an afterthought. Like we said, we have to deal with our friends making fun of the team. Let's not even play there. We know that
absolutely.
That's true.
Yeah.
So we need to be honest. How many people need to have to deal? How many Michigan fans deal with their friends being like, F Michigan, or the Michigan sucks? Who the hell would say that? Not even Ohio State people would say Michigan. They know those are all great teams. Not only do we have to deal with our team losing, then we have to deal with defending why we are fans of this team that loses all the time. That's what I'm saying. We do more than our part as fans. I do more than my part as a super fan, no doubt. I take that all day. But this is my life. We've made it a priority in our lives because we're a psychopath or we have something wrong with us. Either way, take it. Take whatever deficiency in my judgment of being such a huge fan of this team and, amplify that. But instead, this program really has allowed our program to get to a place where we have no leverage. And luckily the numbers dipped because I don't see Ige being like, okay, Scott Psyche, like, no, like he don't care. He just realized like, okay, like you can't pull this 750 cases a day when it's below 100 today, So I think that's really what changed Ige's mind.
Okay, let me ask you a question. So saying that there are like hypothetically no restrictions for the last 2 games, can UH get 9,000 fans into
BC? Good question. Yeah, Shane, answer that question, Shane.
Oh man. Honestly, I don't think they'll be able to get 9,000 fans. Just the fact too. I don't know if we have enough.
What do you
fans
mean?
That
what
are
do you mean by that? Like, do you mean like logistically, or do you mean like the mechanism to distribute tickets, or is there just like not 9,000 fans? Period.
Might be man. C. I think you didn't ABC your choices. But
I know. I think it's all C. of the above. Shoot. Man, it's like crazy. Like how we go back to these renderings. Like, why does everything have to be so extravagant?
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep things
who are
simple.
We?
Yeah,
who are we?
All we're asking for is a nice, good stadium. And you look at the renderings, it's like no more even parking.
Yeah, there's no parking
stalls.
Either,
so you guys trying to make it like Vegas?
Culture.
Yeah,
exactly. We love tailgating. Tailgating is
such
a
huge
part
of being a UH fan. It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, and
they never ask for input. Like, it's so stupid. Like,
so right now, technically, you could still put in input. I mean, like, and I'm not. I mean, I've been going to, EIS meetings from 2 summers ago when they first started. So I've seen like they've evolved, but like that's why I'm saying these are 2 different concepts. Where UH is in Hawaii standing of a cultural significance is the difference of where the stadium is now. Like it's now Ige's like this expensive project that I don't want anymore, which he already basically said that. And you got people working on it. I mean, like I said, the people working on it, just like the rail, we pay these people so much money, like these people who are contractors or like consultants. And like I said, and the school administration gets paid a lot of money too. Those are good Division I jobs. There's no incentive to be better, and that's the scary. There's no incentive to do something in the name of fans, because it's self-serving to get your, and they're not doing anything wrong. They're just not doing anything that is something that should be, at any level of our government, EGA down, something that should be commendable in terms of being a true advocate for UH football. I think Blangiardi had his hands tied, really, in a lot of ways. I mean, the question of Blangiardi being a UH person is, I think, pretty crazy. Like, you better be real. It's like questioning one of us as our loyalty.
Yeah, he bleeds green.
Yeah.
It's like, you better, that's, so, and that's just more reflective of how messed up, Hawaii's political system is. And this is not advocating for Blangiardi at all, but having him and, Amamiya on my show last year and talking to them about exactly how important UH football is, I asked them point blank. Why I asked both of them that question is because when something like this happens and people are challenging why we have a school that has a team, a school that can barely fix some of, the whatever leaky pipes in the biology building, so it's like, you have to realize these are all connected things. So the academic community is anti-athletics. Like, I'm going to come out and basically say that at this point. And that's also something that's hard that the school has to deal with, for sure. But how do they improve their relationship with that's not for fans to do. That's their job to figure it out. That's why I hate, like, and I said, there's a peeve of mine too, when people challenge me, like, no, we have, like, no. I'm doing this podcast right here, paying for it, doing everything else, filling it with content, editing it. I'm doing my part, surely, which is this is getting disseminated across the world for free. No ads. If anybody wants to put an ads, of course, reach out. So this is a much more of a contribution than anybody who is even donating money is giving, because we're trying to attract more people. If you're listening to the sound of our voice, connect with us, first of all, because we're building that community and we're doing this on our own. We're not getting paid for this. And we do have many great ideas, because, that's something that we think about all the time. And we, it's frustrating because we don't know how many of our friends are ever going to come back with us to the stadium. So, I mean, that's what's frustrating about the new stadium as well. It's like, even if it's built, even if it's done, even if we get to see it all shiny and pretty, just like the renderings, who will come to a 35,000 seat stadium by that time? 35 seems, it's like incredulously saying that number 35,000 when we're like saying 9 for the end of the year. Like, let's get 9. Because 15 is going to be a challenge. I mean, we already know. I know 15 will not even fill all the season tickets. So it's sad. And I know a lot of people that didn't want to put down their extra money, and they're going to be too offended to go back next year and take tickets back. And if the school is smart, like I said, if the school, if Graham really wanted to be helpful, Coach Graham, and if he's listening to this, literally call the people who are the old people or the people who have left, like individually call them and thank them for being loyal fans for whatever, even, and ask them if they'll, like,
that makes a huge difference.
It makes a giant difference in Hawaii, just knowing us, knowing our culture there. So that's our free. There you go, Sean. We just gave them free. No invoice will be sent to Lower Campus Road, UH Manoa Quarry Road, whatever, ROTC building, wherever you guys are located. But now we do have a game on Saturday still. So
what?
Finally, I know we did win by this week, which is a nice win. But looks like we do have Shevin back. We did beat Nevada last year.
Well, yeah, supposedly.
Supposedly. Yeah, I guess it's being kept under wraps. But I think whether Shevin or Braden, I'm pretty confident in whatever happens. But Nevada, we did beat them last year, and
we gave them their first loss, right? First loss. So,
and Shane, I just take a crack at this one. I'll go consult the score. So, when it looks like It looks like our
We all took Nevada.
So in terms of the Nevada game, we all chose Nevada. Shane said 37-27. Sean said 35-24. I said 41-28. I think it'll still be close. I don't know if I would say us off the bat, but I definitely feel better since the way that we played against Fresno. But some of those games are just like exist in a vacuum, they're not like they're not indicative of maybe overall. It's just like Fresno's one of those teams that we love to beat, and it's nice and sweet. And Nevada is one of those teams as well, but I don't know, Sean. What do you think, Sean? What is your first? Well, we all picked a loss. So first of all, how do you feel about your score, your 35-24 score?
I think I kind of like your score better. But we can compete with this team. You know, we've gone up there when they play at night, and we've kicked their Okole, right?
Yeah.
53-3.
54-3.
Last year.
Yeah.
So this team has what it takes to compete with Nevada. The thing is, they're going to need to force turnovers. They're going to have the same game plan against Fresno. They're going to have to run the ball, control the clock, and force turnovers on defense. Hawaii's 3-0 when they force 3 or more turnovers, and they're 0-3 when they don't. So I think it's just going to come down to turnovers. But the bad news is Nevada's only turned the ball over 3 times the entire year.
Wow, that's it? Oh my God.
Yep.
Yeah.
What's it going to be the key, Shane? What is the biggest key? What does Hawaii need to do?
Hawaii needs to keep with that aggressive defense, man. That's what's been keeping us in the games these past few matchups. And so the thing that bothers me is, I know they say bye weeks are good, and I think it came at a right time for us. But sometimes when you come off that huge win like we did against Fresno, I just wish we took that momentum in right the following Saturday into Nevada, because I don't know if we're gonna, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if that 1 week off is gonna take away that momentum that we had. And the other thing, how we always talk about being diehard fans, and as a fan that bleeds green, as a fan that's a faithful fan, I'm so used to this team always letting me down when I'm like, all right, we get them, right? We're gonna win the next 3 games, and then we're gonna get blown. The next game we get blown out, or it's like, oh man, they always let me down. So although I'm trying to think positive, I'm just so used to them letting me down when I'm so high on them. So that's just my thing. I'm just kind of after that big win, I'm just worried about how we're gonna perform up there. And I know Nevada wants to. I mean, with 2 heartbreaking losses, with that 53, whatever it was, 54-3, and then them coming here last year and we giving him their first loss on the season, they're gonna want to kick our butt. But who knows? Maybe we might have Nevada's number. So, man, we gotta see. And it's the news said it's gonna be 40 degrees up there at kickoff. So that's not
Thanks
super
for reminding
cold,
me.
but no, but you've felt.
Oh, I've been in worse. But when we won 54-3, it was super cold. It was snowed that day too. It was September 28th, like 2019, right? That was my 50th game in a row. So that's right. We had a big party, which was cool. I had a really fun cake. So Candy and Josie, who come from the Bay Area to most of the road games, they brought that, which was fun. But yeah, I can see the bitter taste in that. That game was like, we just destroyed them. That was like, I mean, we even ran a trick play right before the half.
Humble Rooski.
That was good.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Snap,
like that was just Rolo trying to rub it in, which was fine. He coached there before, so he has that relationship. But yes, Graham got the best of them last year already. So I think I think that this could be potentially another win for us. I also think that the bye week might also have helped because of not having that, just coming down from that high. It's hard to sustain that too. So maybe it is good that we had a chance to, let that go and forget it. I mean, I forgot about it. We moved on. Like, we have NFL teams that we watch. We have other teams that we watch too. Like, we moved on to, like, in ourselves. Obviously, we're still reveling in UH beating Fresno, but that's gone down for us too, right? That high where it's like, okay, we beat Fresno, but now it's like we want to beat other Mountain West teams now. We need to that, and you're right. I mean, we talked about that San Jose loss being a major loss too, just because it could be the one thing that keeps us from, who knows, going to a divisional championship or making it to the Mountain West. And it was only 4 points, and it was, we just let it out of our grasp. So that, I think, definitely made our team realize that they can't mess around. There's really no room for error, but they're going to be so excited to have fans for sure for New Mexico State. So I think that they'll come out new and fresh and excited, and the parents will be fresh and excited too. Like I said, they've been pretty upset on the road. New Mexico State wasn't. We've had issues. We had fights that involved parents and New Mexico State people, and like I said, it wasn't that of a pretty sight. Even for me as a fan, I was like, oh gosh, like there's just brimming with frustration from parents, with the stadium, with Governor Ige, with the administration for feeling that they didn't really advocate for them getting into the stadium. So like Shane said, it's nice that they're getting in. It's nice that they are the ones that are given that opportunity, because, they even went directly to Ige, which I told them all not to do too. I was like, I don't even care what Ige says. I really don't care for parents. Like, that shouldn't even matter. Parents should just get in. We had all 18 wide, empty freaking suites that they could have stuffed parents in all this time. So that's what I'm saying. Like, there's enough blame to go around. Like, Ige is a caricature. Like, he doesn't even exist to me as like he's in the mold of most politicians and how I feel about how it's just so performative. It has nothing to do with actually helping people. Like, UH football could be seen as something really frivolous and stupid, and I don't disagree with that. Like, to me, football means more. Like, going to Kansas City and being in that tailgate with people from the Ozarks and every part of Missouri and being connected and bonded with them. That's what football is to me. That's what it is. It's a part of my life culture. And I'm still an indigenous person who can celebrate my indigenous. That's Indigenous Peoples Day. Is we colonized you, we imperialized you, we celebrate the fact that your knowledge is probably at a higher level than our whatever, but still, football is one of those connectors between those things. Football is the connectors between America and people who are just like somewhat American relatively to other people. It's like I'm saying, like, we have the whole gamut, and that's why Colin Kaepernick is so important to the NFL. Forever will be an important symbol, because he gave them something to a platform. He gave them that fight, that struggle outward publicly. So that's what football means to me. It means more than just a team that's getting public funding, which what they are and what they've been reduced to, and what Ige sees them as. And a lot of people do as well. Like I said, Ige is not the only one. There was hardly anybody really coming out of significance against him. And that's what I'm trying to change. That's what we need to change. And it starts with our friends too. If we have our friends laughing at the fact that we go to UH games.
Yeah.
How the heck are we supposed to build with, that's what I'm saying. Like, they're either they're tone deaf or they just have no clue of how. And I'm sorry, and I want to say his name now too, because he is a long time person, but someone like Rob DeMello or these other guys who I respect so much as media people, but they have to be honest with and Steven Tsai, and they are honest. And these guys are so respected. I respect them. I look up to these guys. I read all their stuff, but I need them to also be accountable for how they cover the team. And they need to be honest with, like I said, like, not being like, oh my gosh, when we played San Diego State on a division title game, barely 20,000 people. It was Blanche Hardy who came out on Hawaii News Now before he was mayor to do his rant thing at the end that they would do about. So like this has already been out there. This has already been on the social consciousness. Now Blangiardi is the freaking mayor and still had issues. And like I'm saying, like this is an issue that's been going around. This is not an e-gay happening now issue. This is oh my gosh, the freaking stadium authority decides to just close the doors. Like, who can just shutter a team in other states? Only in Hawaii does that happen. That wasn't fault. That's not
that was so weird to me. That I think there's still some hidden. It still doesn't all. It's not, the puzzles are not all coming together.
Yeah, for sure.
Regarding the closure of Aloha Stadium, you can't. They can just say, "Oh, okay, that's it. No more fans allowed."
Exactly. The next fan that does the wave is gonna go Truda Puka. So we cannot. We already know this. We've measured it.
Yeah, no can be.
And that's the thing. That is what I think a lot of people right there cut off. We cut off people once we took the stadium out of the equation. I mean, we've literally taken out a symbol of Hawaii, for the John Burns symbol that you brought up his name. That was his vision, a part of that stadium. That's gone now, Sean. So that vision is POW. That vision is in the wind. Literally, we went downward from that vision because his vision was 50,000 plus, and we were like, maybe 35. And let's face it, we're not going to be able to fit 35. That is the problem that people are saying. Meanwhile, donations have gone up in our apartment. Like when we talk about Coach Wagner, people who are legends in our athletic department because of what they've done, even though we don't talk about them enough. They also did those things on shoestring budgets, even more shoestring than today. So what is different is money is being definitely concentrated on the top. Sounds like America. That's what I'm saying. This is not like this is not like we are painting a new picture. I'm just showing you what happens when you introduce profit seeking into the public sphere. I'm not being a communist right now when I say those things either. I'm not Karl Marx. That's just how it works. When you tell people
the metaphor
to make money, they only care about making money. They only care about the 7 billionaire, not even billionaires, millionaires. Actually, one of them might be a billionaire, but I'm saying like the few people that we have, and being like, let's milk these people and shake their trees. Let's not work on building a fan base. That's not take the Bernie Sanders approach, because you actually have to be somebody that people want to back up to donate whatever 30. What did Bernie want? $31.
Yes.
I mean, and that's what I mean. Bernie was like, I don't care if we have super PACs with billionaires, with 5 billionaires, not even 5 billion. 1 billionaire can defeat a super PAC of that. That is the problem with America. But then when you bring that to the college athletics and you say things like, well, the fans aren't the ones, the everyday fan is not the one that's going to be, keeping the doors open or paying coaches inflated salaries, then obviously we're not the priority. So where are your priorities? That's my thing is, if I'm not a priority of this team, and very few teams, like I'm saying, even pro teams, they don't, not every pro team kisses up to fans, but a lot of them at least feel like I want to make them feel special in some way and being a part of this program. And that hasn't been cultivated ever at UH, ever. I mean, do we even get a season member gift?
No. Nope.
I just got my Chiefs one. I have my Chiefs one.
I saw your
Hawaii.
Yeah. Right.
I told my mom she can open it. I was like, the Kansas City just sent a Chiefs thing to our house. But, that's the kind of thing that I love. This is just full disclosure. I've lost a lot of money on the Kansas City Chiefs tickets because NFL tickets are freaking expensive, even for season ticket holders. And that's why I'm happy to be a season ticket holder. This has nothing to me to Hawaii sports fans. The Rams is a Hawaii sports fans things, and those are hard to fill as well because I'm trying to change the culture of thinking about LA people. But the culture is so different in every state that the ones who are in charge of everything, pulling the strings, only care about one thing: making a profit. They don't care about what we are experiencing. And this is happening at Kansas City Chiefs. When I was there, that tailgate that I went to, they moved off campus, kind of across the street where I parked. It's actually across from Arrowhead. But it's because a lot of these teams are squeezing them out too. And now that you have to pay for big salaries, you want to keep a player like Mahomes, you want to keep good offensive players, you got to pay for them. So the teams, they're every single owner in the NFL is a billionaire, and still manages to sound like they are freaking Tiny Tim, like struggling to just eat every Christmas. And it's crazy, but that's the world that we live in. And UH is not a billionaire institution, but they have a lot of $50 million budget, just like every other budget in the Mountain West. Yet, why are we not on the same level as other Mountain West schools? We have to ask ourselves that. Why? And we talked about this last week, Sean, right? You brought this up too. When we were in the WAC too, we were catered toward. It was nice when the national slate is up. Who shall we consider? Okay, Hawaii for sure. We got to have. I mean, I just saw one of my memories. I just saw one of my Facebook memories from 10 years ago, and it was us playing at San Jose, and that was on ESPN. And I was like, that used to happen. That used to be a thing, like full-fledged. I think it was like a Friday night game. Remember, we used to do those Friday night games,
right? Right.
I mean, that's better for eyeballs for our program than CBS Sports Network at 4:30 p.m. or some random. And that's what I'm saying. That all has to do with how the vision is today. So Burns isn't here, and governors and some states are way more involved. Ours are not like that because they just don't care.
Exactly.
I'm sure in Texas, I'm sure like the Texas governor, when he goes to Austin, he's like, you definitely will put me in the best suite. I will definitely be like, this is a part of my culture of being the governor. And this is not an endorsement of Texas, but Texas clearly loves football and they make it obvious. And that's
they go crazy over high school football.
Yes, exactly. Well, we do too, though. We go crazy over high school football. But I'm saying like, why can't we pick up on that momentum? So, but no, this is a bigger conversation. That's why I'm glad we're having it on this podcast, because I don't think it's being had at all anywhere. We're talking about not just why Hawaii football isn't a state. It is, but why it's been neglected for so long and why that
Kahuku can fill Aloha Stadium, but the University of Hawaii can't. Like, what's the problem?
So we have we have Nevada. After this game, we have we have another 6 games: New Mexico State, Utah State, San Diego, UNLV, Colorado, and then we ended with Wyoming. So in the beginning of this year, we said, well, now that we are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 games through, and we are what, 3-3 right now?
Midway point.
3-3. At the midway point, I had predicted I was low, as we say in our Tanaka talk. I was thinking we'd be 5-1 or some whatever. So like I said, we were but Sean, who had predicted the 6-win season, we could even possibly surpass that. Shane picked the 7. I had predicted the 8. I don't know if we'll get to that, but what do you see as games?
Every game right.
You did. So which games did you? You're right. You have. And and do you see that you have New Mexico State? So even if we lose tomorrow or lose on Saturday and beat New Mexico, I mean, we're still 500, after that point. So Utah State, San Diego, UNLV, Colorado, and Wyoming. I mean, I think if we can go 3-2 in that, I mean, who knows? Maybe we can be 7-6 or something. So I don't know. What do you think, Shane? Now that you picked it 7 wins, where are you going with that now?
Well, I'm still going with the 7 wins.
Mm-hmm.
And like I always say, every game is a big game. Well, especially for Hawaii, every game is a big game. But this Saturday is a big game. It's a big time opponent, upper class of the conference. So. I feel good with the 7 wins, but I'll feel much better if we come out this Saturday with another win. We need this win, man. And it's funny how we talk about all these problems with UH and how hard it is to be a fan. Mm-hmm. I just want to shout out to AJ Bianco, because when I saw that he committed to UH yesterday, I was like, holy crap. I didn't see that coming, man. It's like, wow, we're still getting these good recruits. Yep. Hey, there's still hope. There's still blood pumping. There's still some.
You're right. There's
still some green blood to bleed.
There is. Yeah.
He picked us over Nebraska and Washington State.
Washington State. Yeah. So I was like, oh.
Well, he never
'Cause
liked
that
get
was-
COVID.
that
I
was
think
my-
that's why.
that was my first thought was like, oh, he must have picked us because he never had any other offers. And then I saw,
No.
Nebraska and Wazoo. I was like, hey.
Well, they
he
said
wants-
no. Did he get offered, or was he shown? Not to say that it matters. Honestly, I think he is a good player, but it is kind of funny. We did put those names in, like Nevada or Nebraska, and so I was like, man, if the offer was there, that's pretty cool.
It
That he
said, the
did take
article
Hawaii.
said offers.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
So huge. I mean, like you said, Sean, he is somebody that believes that kids from Hawaii should, carry that mantle. I mean,
Yeah,
do you
he
think
wants to
that's
carry
still
the
a
banner.
thing? Do you think that's still a thing? Like you coach, you're around high school kids all the time. Are they looking at Hawaii still the same way that they did when you were in high school, or 10 years after that? I mean, you're around these kids. Are they talking about UH as a?
Well, I'm not working at the high school
School.
anymore.
Oh, you're
I'm
not
in the
up there.
elementary, so
But lately, do you
invited.
see that as a thing? Millennium High School is obviously one of our better schools too in Hawaii. So that needs to be another school that we have a pipeline, and we have Musau. Obviously, we have people right now that are starting. But is that our kids? Because when kids, I remember when I was in high school, kids were like, "Oh, I'm going Tennessee." Cause I was like, "Okay, okay, bro, Hawaiian. Let's stick around." Now it's like, okay, that's possible. Like Tennessee is a definite possibility for any kid, and so things have changed, but that same goal of going to the NFL has not changed.
There's always going to be the kids that are going to want to stay and want to play in front of their family. That are going to want that Hawaii across their chest to carry the banner. So, and some of those kids will go away and come back. I just feel like with last week, with them beating Fresno, with the announcement that there's going to be fans, I really feel like I'm turning the corner. The hop, the breath, the life has been breathed back right into the program. And I'm optimistic that they can get a win tomorrow. Or not tomorrow, but yeah. Basically, when you're hearing this, it's gonna be
Yeah.
Well, what is your? I mean, you still had the 6 wins, and you've been correct. I mean, do you see any of the teams that we played?
I picked them to lose, but I wouldn't be surprised if they won because they can.
Yeah.
They know how. They know how.
Yeah.
So,
I think that's going to be challenging. I think even playing New Mexico State is going to be challenging because they know us already.
Right.
And that's the scary thing. Yeah, they ain't going to want to lose twice. Hell no. Can you imagine playing basketball. A team twice? There's no way you want to lose. It's worse than basketball. It's like football. It's like you never have to play them twice ever. And then you play them twice the same year. That must be like humiliating, first of all.
It's like playing that team that you swept in conference in the tournament a third time. And
playing them in the playoffs and then losing to them in the playoffs because it's hard to play them again.
Right.
So it'll be interesting, but we all have, we are pretty close in terms of how we feel about the team is right now. But no, it's been exciting. This has been a very up and down roller coaster year. We've had some crazy developments off the field, so we spend time talking about that. But please continue to support hisportsfans.com if you want to join our mailing list. If you want to catch the vibe train that we are providing here at this podcast, please subscribe. Join us on Facebook, the Hawaii Sports Fans Facebook, or if you're on Instagram or Twitter, it's at HI Sports Fans. Every week, every time we do a show, there's always somebody else or someone new or someone who stays devoted. And I think this is a powerful voice for our fan base, not just because it's us three, but it's 3 people that have been around this program for a long time and have put the program above themselves in a lot of ways. And that is unhealthy for people to do that, but we do it anyways. So this is something that is a passion more than anything, and just grateful for all of your support and all that you have brought. And my next door neighbor either is domestics or it's his Call of Duty and he just died or something. So that is a easy way to say it's time to go. But mahalo for listening, and we'll catch you all next week. Talk to you guys again.
Go Bows.
Go Bows.